Welcome to Dialogue this week. In this corner, we invite guests from in and out of Korea to talk about a wide variety of issues ranging from culture and sports to the latest trends around the world. The size of the luxury goods market has been rising rapidly over the past few years. With soaring demand, prices of luxury goods from designer brands have seen an evident rise across the globe. So for instance, Chanel raised the price of selected items for the fourth time this year alone, and Prada and Louis Vuitton also raised price tags 5 times, much more than its previous average. But even so, the craze for luxury products isn't fading. In fact, luxury brands saw rapid double-digit sales throughout this period. So what is it that consumers see and get out of these expensive luxury items despite the skyrocketing price? For an insider's view, we are joined by Park Se-jung, a freelance announcer who's a longtime Chanel lover, via Skype. Good morning, Se-jung. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
And for a more in-depth analysis on the situation, Lee Jang-hyuk, professor of marketing at Korea University Business School, is also joining us via Skype. Thank you, Professor, for joining us.
Good morning.
Morning. Now let's start our discussion with Se-jung. It seems inevitable that people in modern society see huge appeal in luxury goods. It can often be a sign of success, status, or wealth. I heard that you also have your own collection of items. Can you share with us what significance does your collection have?
I do believe all women in the world, I mean, not only women, including men and transgender or even non-binary people, everyone likes beautiful things and everyone has to have the right to be beautiful if they want. And the luxury brands are the representatives of something beautiful and sophisticated. So I think people instinctively see an appeal in luxury goods. For me, when I turned 19, I watched haute couture fashion show on TV for the first time, and I just had a crush on the dresses. So I started reading books and studying of the designers of the brands, and I found the value of the history and the originality of each brand. And when I was a college student, my mom bought me luxury bags when I got a good score on my test or something. So it was the first step. And since I started making money, I have collected Chanel items especially because I love Gabrielle Chanel's philosophy. I believe she contributed to enhancing women's rights, and I also have a dream to be an influential person to improve women's rights. So my Chanel collection is like showing my respect to Chanel and taking a step forward for my dream.
Wow. Well, I heard that you also wrote a book addressing the value you've seen in the brand, like you've mentioned. What was the message that you wanted to deliver to the readers?
Yes, I wrote a book of Chanel and the value of the brand. As we all know, people love luxury brands and want to have the luxury goods. But at the same time, we think they're too expensive, and sometimes they're just proving how much money we have or how much we're enjoying the upper class life. But I wanted to say the luxury brands does not only mean that kind of things, especially Chanel is not like that. Gabrielle Chanel managed to create her own empire in a world ruled by men, and she definitely changed the world fashion industry. She established the basic modern women's look, and she invented women's suit, which has a military-inspired jacket and was made for action. And she said women should be pretty and free at the same time, and free to move our arms and walk fast with our times. So Chanel's jacket is not very tight. It's free to move. And she invented the little black dress as well, and means a lot to women. So I just wanted to let people know about this value of this brand.
Right. I have to say, I have to apologize for the noise you're hearing. We have a construction issue here. We apologize for that, but we'll make sure it goes away soon. Anyway, despite the intentions of Coco Chanel that you've mentioned, the brand has become an empire of its own. And while luxury labels do tend to, raise their prices every 12 months, since the start of the pandemic, Chanel has already hiked their prices for the 4th time, like I've mentioned a while ago. Does this change your stance regarding loyalty to the brand Now, since you're a consumer of this brand, what do you think of the frequent price hike?
I'm totally against this price hike. Because as I mentioned, Gabrielle Chanel wanted women feel free on their outfit. And do you know about this necklace? These pearls are artificial, and it was her intention. In 1930s and 1940s, only a few women were able to work, and they couldn't make enough money to buy necklaces. So Chanel made an artificial pearl necklace to give women a chance to get jewelry without men's money. And how about the classic bag named 2.55? When she made the bag, she was like 72 years old. I mean, Chanel items should be able to be the sign of success. But let us think about the price now. Actually, we cannot buy them even though we are successful. They're just too expensive and they went over the line. And as a big fan of this brand, since Karl Lagerfeld passed away, I have had a doubt if the brand is still pursuing Gabrielle Chanel's philosophy or not. I'm not quite sure about that.
Well, like as you're speaking, I think I could feel how much sincere you are towards this brand. Now, let us turn to Professor Lee. Despite the price hikes that we've mentioned, it seems like people still want to buy the items, possibly even more eagerly. I'm not sure if this is an international phenomenon, but here in South Korea, we can easily see people, waiting in line outside department stores from the early morning hours to purchase some selected luxury items. Professor, can you help us understand why luxury brands regularly raise their prices and decrease their supply first?
First of all, they do raise the price because there are more demand. So it is a very simple, the law of the market, supply and demand. There is a more demand, price may need to go. Because the main reason is the quantity of product that's sold in a specific market, in general, it is planned 1 year in advance. So it is difficult to increase the number of products to sell in a specific country. As the demand goes up, they have to raise the price. Very simple logic.
But despite that, rise in prices, why do you think the demand doesn't seem to, lessen?
That is all at the same time because the wealth of individual increases structurally. Every year, GDP increases by 3%. So on this planet, there are more people who can afford luxury products every year. So demand increases structurally.
All right. But some analysts have said that the recent increase in demand for luxury price items is due to revenge consumption. Revenge against COVID-19. People have saved up for vacation or some kind of splurge that had to be canceled due to the pandemic. What is your reaction on this analysis?
Yeah, the revenge consumption is a very, I think, a fancy media expression of delayed consumption. For during the pandemic period, people didn't have to purchase enough because there was no enough occasion to show off. Because luxury product is mainly consumers to buy not only for functional benefit, but also for symbolic benefit. If there's no occasion to show off, the need goes down. So that delayed needs, now it is expressed as a raise of purchases that in terms of demand in the market.
Well, I totally agree that it could be a delayed instead of kind of a revenge kind of emotion. But what about you, Sejong? How has the pandemic impacted your collection? Did it prompt you to buy more or even less?
It actually didn't impact so much on my collection because I've never been a super rich person. I just work hard and make a good money from my work. So whenever I want to buy some luxury things, I make a plan and save money for them and buy them. So not very often, like twice a year or something. So it didn't mean so much on buying items, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the fashion shows of Paris Fashion Week or New York Fashion Week haven't worked very well as usual. So it was impossible to go abroad, and it was difficult to check out how the brands created their new collections.
Yeah, that is a pity, actually. Staying with Sejong, certain high-end luxury lines are not just highly priced, but they're also very scarce. Now, this means even if one has the money to buy a product, they can't just walk into the store and walk out without it. As a consumer, how do you think this plays into the value of the brand?
Well, actually, I've never been in the lines of the open run, and I cannot say it's good or bad or something, but I think we should think about the backgrounds of this issue. For example, there are many different kinds of bags in the headquarters of Chanel in Paris, and there are much less items in the stores in Korea, of course, and Korean branches import only a few items that are popular among Korean people. So if we buy luxury goods, depending on my real own taste, not going with the flow or not following the general trend, would the people have to wait for hours to get the same bags? We should think about the background.
Yes, I totally agree. And like we've kind of touched upon, scarcity is a classic marketing strategy. When it comes to luxury goods, it's especially, I think it's especially worse here in South Korea. Is it because we have higher demand, or is it the same in other countries, Professor?
Yeah, that is in general, people, as because they can show off. They have to live in a place where the popularity density goes up. Many people live together. This not only is a special phenomenon in South Korea, because our countries have a very high density. So other places in big cities around the world, the similar pattern and phenomenon we can find out. It is a popular density issue mainly. As well, the scarcity issue that we can hear that the word limited version edition nowadays. So company try to make a number of items available. Its number is limited to make it scale. So which can drive more people to have a need and a desire to buy actually.
So this is prompting more people to buy more goods. But in terms of economy, what do you think it has? What kind of effect does it have on the economic growth, like economic recovery rather, from the pandemic?
That is a very similar to what I've told about the economic growth. That the world economy has been a little bit shrunk because of the pandemic. Now, more revenue are generated, so naturally, more people want to rush for purchase quite relatively expensive items that they were not able to afford last year or year before.
All right. Now, this certainly was a very interesting discussion, but I'm afraid we will have to wrap up at this time. Again, we apologize for the construction noise. Thank you so much, Sejong and Professor Lee, for your time. Hope to speak to you again in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.